There we go. So, yes. Okay. All right, everyone, I want to introduce to you Steve Fowler, who is with CareerPlug, which is a terrific partner of ours. We are super excited to be able to bring national savings that a lot of partners out there, a lot of programs that operate on a national basis get this special service and support at a highly discounted rate. And with our network, we've been able to make that happen for you. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity to see the product and hear from them directly in terms of what they have to offer our members. So, Steve, I'm going to leave it to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thanks for the invite and excited to join everyone here today. Like Dawn mentioned, my name is Steve Fowler. I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And my background is I spent 10 years working for a franchise organization that was a youth enrichment program that operates in childcare centers and preschool. So I spent 10 years traveling across the US, visiting lots of preschools, childcare centers, Montessori schools, etc., throughout the US and Canada. And so anytime I can kind of join one of these groups, I empathize with the challenges of running a school or an ECE and staffing, understanding that a lot of your quality and everything hinges on those that you can hire and those that you can retain. And so I'm here to kind of talk today about the resource of CareerPlug that, like Dawn mentioned, is available to you all. We work with some franchise networks, brands that have access to this tool. And again, what CareerPlug ultimately is an applicant tracking system. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I think it was shared earlier, but it went away. There we go. So I want you to kind of think of CareerPlug as like this all-in-one system. So when you need to post a job, maybe typically up until today, you go to Indeed, you go to ZipRecruiter. Those are single job boards where you'll tend to post a job. What CareerPlug is as an applicant tracking system is kind of an all-in-one. So through the help of Dawn, we have created kind of everything to go out of the box for you all. So when you need to post a job, you can actually now do it in CareerPlug. We have all preloaded job descriptions and templates in there. So you can select one of those and then edit it. And then what we do is through our integrations you can see kind of the job boards there. When you post that job, that will automatically send it to Indeed and ZipRecruiter and Glassdoor, Google Jobs, LinkedIn, as well as create like a microsite or a website for you to then link on your school site. So the idea then is, okay, applicants today apply from 10 different places. With CareerPlug, everything comes into one central system. So what that looks like is you have CareerPlug as your dashboard. So if you're the school owner and you've got a center director and assistant director, you can all each have your own login. You don't need to share login credentials. There's no charge for additional users. But what this gives you then is this central dashboard to be able to see all of your applicants in one screen. And there's a lot of really cool tools in here as far as kind of sifting through applicants, organizing things, and making sure that nobody slips through the cracks, right? We want you to be able to make quick hiring decisions. And so there's a lot of tools in here, but I'm going to kind of show you real quick what this looks like as far as reviewing applicants. So again, regardless of where somebody finds your job and applies, it'll all come into CareerPlug. You'll be emailed, notified each time someone applies. And then in here, you will have their resume, if they've uploaded one when they applied. And then you also have an applicant evaluation. So you'll see down here, there's 2 pre-screen questions that we have set up for this job. And we actually weight the scoring based on responses. Now, when you see these questions, these are completely customizable. So you can, if your specific school or center is a little bit different, maybe hours of availability is really important, you can add an additional question here. We typically recommend anywhere from 2 to 3 pre-screen questions. And then again, you can weight the scoring. So if some things are really important to you based on their level of education, experience, that type of thing, all of that you can kind of tweak to fit your hiring needs and your goals for your school or center. And then what happens here is everything kind of communication wise happens within CareerPlug. So the whole idea is you're going to move applicants through a hiring funnel, right? And so you'll hear me say, everything's customizable a lot on this call, but it really is. So we understand everyone has different hiring processes. Kind of by default, we have one that's preloaded in here. So think of that as you review an application. Maybe you decide to do a phone screen, an in-person interview, then you check references, background check, and then you hire, right? That's what we would call like the hiring process. And so they're kind of the steps that you're going to move your applicants through to make sure that you review every single applicant and you communicate really quickly with them. Now, let's say, okay, we look at this applicant up here, and maybe again, there's a few of us at our school or center involved in the hiring process. What I can do up here is I can label them as a good fit. And that way, if Dawn is at my school and Dawn is the owner or the director, Dawn's able to see, okay, Steve rated Jane as a good fit. That looks good. If Dawn and I want to maybe kind of log some notes or tag an applicant to kind of better organize them, we can do all of that in here. So example of an applicant tag could be maybe we're looking for someone that's bilingual and that's important to us. We could add in Spanish as a tag. And then the whole idea is you're building up kind of you're organizing your applicants over time and ultimately have them categorized or grouped into buckets. So maybe 6 months down the road, you decide, hey, we need to hire a toddler teacher. Let's go back into CareerPlug and kind of review, are there any applicants that applied maybe a year ago or 6 months ago? And let's revisit those because sometimes, things change. And rather than scrambling to post a new job and go through all of that, sometimes you just want to go back to your pipeline of previous applicants and kind of restart that process there. So that's kind of an example of how you can, again, organize them, rate them, everything that you might need to do there. But then as far as the communication, let's go ahead and click on advance. So in this case, we're basically telling CareerPlug, hey, I reviewed this applicant. And then the next step in this case is the initial interview. Now we have a tool called Autopilot, which makes it really, really easy to kind of cut out the back and forth of, hey, this is Steve at ABC Childcare, got your resume, would like to set up a time, send me a few days and times that works for you. That's just not the best applicant experience. And what we found over the 17 years of doing this is you got to be really quick and you have to make it easy for applicants to schedule an interview, right? And especially today, honestly, regardless of generation, people just don't pick up the phone if it's an unknown number, right? They're screening their phone calls. They're not tied to their email inbox. And so, texting is kind of the name of the game when it comes to hiring in early childhood education. So if I liked this applicant, I could go ahead and click on Begin Autopilot. And what we've done in the account previously is I've linked my calendar. I use Gmail for my calendar, but you can integrate with any of the major calendars, Apple Calendar, Microsoft Exchange, Outlook, etc. And so what I do here is I click on Launch, and this does two things. This is now going to text the applicant, and it's going to email them as well. And it's basically going to say, let me see if I can pull up an example here for you all. Pull my phone here. Great. So the applicant then gets this text message. I'm not sure if you can see it very well on my screen, but I'll read it. It says from, and then whatever your school name is will automatically be added there. And it will reference the name of the job. So it says, hi, Jane, I'm the hiring manager here at ECE of Colorado. I reviewed your application and would like to interview you for our childcare teacher opening. Could you please use this link to find a day and time that's convenient for you for your in-person interview? Now, again, this can be used for a phone screen as well. It doesn't have to be an in-person or in-school interview. It's just how I have it set up for this demo purpose. And then again, because CareerPlug can see my calendar, it knows that, hey, I have tomorrow blocked off for an audit that's coming through or something, right? So it won't let an applicant schedule over any conflicts I have. but the applicant can click on Thursday at 4 p.m. And then those 2 clicks, they're done, right? They don't need to create an account. They don't need to really do anything complex. And then what will happen is they'll get text message reminders leading up to the interview. So if they schedule 5 days out, we know that center directors and owners never enjoy when an applicant ghosts an interview or doesn't show up. And so we want to make sure that we're helping the applicants as much as we can. We'll give them those text message reminders, and then you'll see everything in CareerPlug as well. So here you can now see that we've got an interview scheduled. It will also publish to your calendar as well. So if you're like, hey, I get confused, I don't want to always be logged into CareerPlug to see what interviews I have, it'll actually publish to your Google Calendar or whatever system that you have linked there. So that way you can easily track things. So let's say that day comes around then, and it's time to interview the applicant there. So in terms of kind of following the best practices in hiring, right? We know that it's important to ask the exact same questions and kind of follow a structured hiring process. So that way it's fair to all applicants. So we have built-in scorecards where, again, let's say I'm the center owner, but I've handed off hiring to my center director. I can utilize an in-person interview scorecard here, select this. And then what you can do here is basically kind of go through the questions, again, whether it's a phone screen or in person. And then again, you're able to kind of check off their responses. For some of these, you can add in additional comments. Everything here is, again, pre-built for you, but can be customized, right? That's the name of the game. If you want to, maybe you have your own scorecard already, what you see in here can be completely recreated with what you've developed, all right? So again, you fill all this out during or right after their interview, hit submit, and then you've got this paper trail, right? So down the road in 6 months, if you're looking for a new director, right, you can kind of go back into CareerPlug and see, oh, I interviewed this person for a teacher, but maybe they're actually a good fit now for a director position. So everything is, we're taking out the pen and paper, keeping everything digital, and that way you can log into CareerPlug and see everything in one dashboard and be able to kind of move applicants through the process there. I'll mention we also have this AI summary tool. So this can be helpful when an applicant applies to a job. Sometimes we find that an applicant might answer pre-screen questions in one way, and then it doesn't always match up with their resume. So an example of that could be they answer a pre-screen question and say, I have 5+ years of ECE experience, but their resume shows that, no, they worked in retail, they worked in here, and maybe they were at a childcare center for a year. The AI summary will scan both items, their resume and their answers, and it will kind of point out if there's some red flags there, or maybe they're a really good fit. In this case, this candidate has on their resume a whole lot of early childhood education experience, certifications, CPR, AED, child abuse, state-specific clearances, that type of thing. So the AI summary is just kind of a starting point for you to be able to see quickly, okay, which candidates might be a good fit. And then obviously you'll still review and read that resume before contacting them. I'm going to pause there. Are there any questions from the group on kind of what I just showed there?
Any questions, anyone?
And if there's not, that's okay.
I think you did a good job of explaining so far.
That's
So
good. Let me, I'll kind of cover. So again, just to reiterate, when you post that job, it's going to all the job boards. Kind of our goal at CareerPlug is let's cast a net out pretty wide, because not every applicant is on Indeed. Not every applicant is on ZipRecruiter or Google Jobs. And, there's been even a little bit of a shift where more and more people are applying from social media posts. Those that are employers that do a really good job of kind of posting on Instagram or Facebook, talking about their school culture and opportunities, start to attract talent that way. And so another helpful resource that you have then in CareerPlug is what we call a careers page. So I'm going to showcase what that looks like here on the dashboard. in the top right corner, you've got careers page. And this little drop down, you've got two options here. So you can edit your careers page. And what this means is you can basically rebrand this very specific to your school, everything from the colors to the banner photo.
Steve, we're not seeing your screen now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, keeps cutting off. Let me know if that happens again. I'll take a step back, but again, this is the screen where you can come in here and put in your school photo, your logo, everything there. And so an example here, I think Hope Montessori Academy, this is their main website under About Us. They're on CareerPlug. So what they've done here is they have learn about our job openings, and they've simply basically just done a hyperlink to their CareerPlug careers page. I think they've done a little bit of rebranding here as well. So here now you can see, great, they've got teacher jobs posted. And what this allows an applicant to do is read the job description, and they can actually apply right from the side here. So it's not going to send them to Indeed. It's not going to send them outside to a separate job board, but rather it's going to let them kind of read about the culture, maybe look at photos, look at a map so they know where the center or the school is. And then again, they're going to apply right from within this site. Everything's mobile friendly, really, really easy for them to apply there, okay? The other thing that I'll then mention is you can also create QR code or hiring now posters. So where these are really helpful is you're going to a hiring fair, college, school, whatever it might be, and either putting these up on a bulletin board, or maybe again, you're talking to a group where you might have the opportunity to get people to apply on the spot. Here you have the option to print out like a now hiring poster. So if you want, you can actually edit this to be your specific center colors. So you can pick a specific color. We'll go ahead and grab CareerPlug Blue right here. You can add in custom text. So if you offer like a sign-on bonus or anything very specific that you want to call out, and then you can just download that as a PDF. And then this will give you that QR code poster. So an applicant can scan that and they'll be immediately taken to all of your live jobs. So they can apply right from their phone, or we also have text to apply. So this can be helpful, you know, if you're posting on Instagram, right? Instagram is one where it's sometimes hard to, you can't really do a hyperlink in a typical Instagram post. But you can say, hey, text this number to this phone number. And what happens there, you're welcome to test it out. CareerPlug will automatically respond back to that text message, and they'll include a hyperlink to all of your active jobs. So again, this might replace what typically you might do is someone says they're interested in applying. You say, oh, jump on Indeed and search ABC Montessori. The reason you don't really want to do that is when you think about the major job boards like Indeed, they're going to display kind of all the other opportunities nearby. So if someone searches ABC Montessori and applies, that applicant will then get follow-up emails from Indeed with other, you know, nearby opportunities, versus if you keep them just kind of on your careers page, they don't really see any of the other nearby schools, your competitors, that type of thing. So it's kind of keeping them in a closed off like funnel, if you will. And again, then you can automate a lot of that communication with them after they've applied. So like I said, we work with a lot of maybe larger franchise network of schools. It's not uncommon to see 25% of your applicants applying from your website, from social media. And those tend to be better applicants because when you think about it, the applicant that, you know, is searching out, again, Hope Montessori, so maybe they Google it or they follow from social media, they're typically spending a little bit more time reading the job description. There's something about that school that's attractive to them where they want to apply, versus, again, not to disparage Indeed and ZipRecruiter and the major job boards, but a lot of times what we'll see there is you'll get the most volume of applicants, but sometimes it's applicants that are applying to like 5 jobs within the span of 30 minutes, and they're not always taking the time to read the full job description. And you've probably experienced this before where, you know, you call someone or set up an interview and you're like, well, hey, why do you want to work at Hope Montessori? And they're like, I don't know anything about you. And you're like, well, you applied to the job. And so that's where we you know, are taking this shift of, hey, continue to highlight your culture, what's unique about this position, your school, etc., and talk about that on social media and make it easy for applicants to apply. Again, applicants are, like I said, skewing a little bit away from job boards to be drawn to, again, social media. I always look at the early childhood education data when it comes to hiring, and it's about 80% of your applicants apply from a mobile device, which reiterates that they want to be communicated through via texting because they're on their phone all the time, but also they're on social media all the time. And so what better way to kind of, every week when you're posting about your current team members, include that link to CareerPlug to say, hey, we're highlighting, Steve as our toddler teacher, recognize current staff members, but then also say, by the way, we're also, recruiting for XYZ position. Click here to learn more. So make it really, really simple for, those applicants to view all of your jobs. And again, make it super simple for them to apply right from within CareerPlug. So that's kind of that's the hire part. I'm not going to, there's not a ton of time for today, but then post hire, there is a whole suite of tools where, let's say Jane Doe, for example. Jane was an awesome applicant, and we decided we're going to hire Jane. So you actually do all this in CareerPlug. So we would go in here and say, okay, Jane, your start date is January 30th. I lost my screen share. Let me pull this back up. And then preloaded state tax forms. Those are included in here. So you don't need to pull data or pull PDFs and upload them. That part is done for you. And then there's also custom workflows. And I'll give Dawn a huge shout out here. A lot of our partners don't always take the time to build this out for their members or their franchisees. And so Dawn and team have really done an awesome job of giving you early childhood and Colorado specific onboarding things. So think about DocuSign. CareerPlug has a built-in feature very similar where you can upload PDFs and it's drag and drop. So, an applicant gets the email saying, hey, you've been hired. They can complete all of that digital paperwork right from their phone without needing to download an app or do anything there. So the whole idea is, great, we've had everything documented for the interview process, but now we really want to have everything digital for, again, paperwork, non-compete, state mandated reporter, training, all of those, again, very Colorado and ECE specific items. And so that way, if there's, someone coming in for to kind of look at paperwork, you can be able to pull up CareerPlug and say, yep, we've got all of the digital files. Or if you need to print things out as well, you can do that from CareerPlug. So, it turns into not just the recruiting part for your school, but then the ongoing, okay, let's manage our team. Let's make sure that, we're not misplacing paper files and we've got everything stored right from within CareerPlug. I'm going to pause there again. Happy to open up to questions on any of that stuff that I just covered there.
I just want to add that on ECEA's website, we have a job board that also consolidates all of these positions that our CareerPlug members have entered in. And so we are working to make sure that every employee out there or potential employee out there knows about our job board and can just go straight there and look, right? And get to you based off of your posting. We've also partnered with Teach Colorado, and Steve and his team were so willing to change the auto response for the people who were applying for industry jobs but were not qualified. And so we've changed the auto response for those people so that they can learn through Teach Colorado how to get qualified for the industry and be better applicants for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that, Dawn. Let me see if my screen is still shared. I'll quickly highlight that part that you just mentioned. So again, think of this. There we go. This is now an aggregator. So on the ECEA website, when we click on job board, again, you don't need to do anything special. When you've activated your CareerPlug account and posted a job, your position will automatically display here as well. So again, the whole idea of let's get these jobs in more than just one place. And again, make it really easy for applicants to look at jobs and apply to them. Don, do you want me to kind of cover, or do you want to kind of talk through the membership levels and kind of next steps?
I had a
Yeah.
quick question,
Go
if I
ahead.
may.
Yeah.
The Google Calendar aspect integration, I didn't see the details on that. I get the general concept, but are you also able to bookend like your availability times, or do you have to have a, if you have a calendar and you're there all the time, do you have to have it blocked out, or you can say, oh, I want to do them between 10 and 2 or something like that?
Yep. So there's two options. You can link your calendar and do it that way. Or if you're like, I don't want to do that, I just want to manually set my availability, you can do that as well. And then same thing.
Okay, but I'm looking for the merge of both of those combined. Is that so? It's either or.
It's either or. In your case, what you might be then doing is setting your like hours of availability here. So what this says is, by default, anything in green is kind of available, and then whatever's on my Gmail calendar won't be scheduled over. But sometimes if someone's opening a new school, maybe they're like, well, hey, I want to do interviews on Saturday, so I need to open up some availability here. And I also just don't want anyone to ever book on Wednesdays during these. So you can kind of override things through your calendar in this setting.
But in that those green slots, if they mark their availability, say from 2 to 4 on every given day or whatever for interviews, then if they have an appointment already scheduled, it's not going to make that part green, right? It'll automatically double check through their calendar. So that's great. Yep. Yeah. We are so excited about this because it does so much to save you, not just time, but money, right? Both of those things. And so when I stumbled upon CareerPlug, I was looking at it. Ultimately, if you were to go direct through them, you'd have to do this whole setup. It would cost you $200 a month to do. In ECEA, if you do have to be either a plus or a pro member. So if you're a basic member and you want to take on this service, I'm happy to walk you through. Honestly, you just join again at a plus or pro level. At our plus level, it is $35 a month for our membership dues instead of the $25 at the basic level. And then it's $79 for CareerPlug. So 35 plus 79, so $114, right, a month that you would pay for membership and CareerPlug. But if you do our pro level, which is $55, the price for CareerPlug drops down to $60 because we're trying to help out there. And that's actually only $1 more, $115 a month. And the reason why you want to do pro instead of plus is because you also want access as a pro member to get a free ticket to our leadership conference in the fall. And you also want to have access to our political stuff, right? The one-on-ones with Scott Bright, Senator Scott Bright, the legislative breakfast that we have coming up in a month, special conversations with our pro level members, because they're the ones that really are looking to lean in and get more politically active and stuff. And so it helps us to, although we're keeping everyone informed, it gives us a tier of members to really, really heavily engage with when we're trying to do some of this political action stuff. So for $115 a month, you get that pro level with all of those discounts and benefits, and you get CareerPlug. We talked to a member, well, someone who was in membership that's spending $30,000 a year on advertising for just Indeed, just the one. And so by switching their membership level from basic to pro, they're going to end up paying instead $1,380. They get to save over $28,000 by making this shift. That's the kind of partner we're looking for, right? To make a difference to your bottom line. Questions? All right, so we're going to put this recording out there for people so that they can see it. If you have questions, email me, dawn@coloradoecea.org. We can put you in touch with Steve and his team if you have more in-depth questions. We're trying to occasionally share out the data of like how our partners that are utilizing their platform are, like how many days to hire and that sort of thing. So we're tracking that information and posting that occasionally through our updates and stuff. But just really appreciate that you were willing to come and do this demo with us, Steve. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join. I will sign off. I put in the chat, if you're on CareerPlug and anything that I showed today or features and you're like, I have a question, our help center, there's both documentation, but then also real life people that you can schedule a consultation totally free. There's no charge to meet with our team as much as you want. But we are always happy to kind of help set things up and really configure your account for you. So
yeah, and if you decide to just jump in and do this, you just go to our website and click the Join Now button. And to change your membership, you just pick either the Pro or Plus, enter your card information. It should remember your information actually, if you've already entered a different product line there, but it will prompt you at checkout, like if you want to add a CareerPlug. And then once you've done all of that, it's going to send you an email with instructions automatically on how to access that. Someone raised a hand. Someone have a question? The other piece to that is then I will get a notification and I will go in and cancel your basic membership. And so you might get a notice of something canceled. Don't panic. That's just me cleaning up and making sure you don't get double charged for memberships. Last chance for questions for Steve. All right. Thank you so much, Steve. We'll put people in touch with you both from this meeting and also as they review the recording later. Thank you.
sounds good.